Tonight, it's all about freedom of expression. You're watching DXB Today.
Hello and welcome to one and all to this DXB Today. Look, it's midweek and we are looking forward to bringing you a jam-packed hour for this, as we like to call them, Wow Wednesday.
That's right, Tom. So much is happening here in the city of Dubai at the moment. Everything from the ATM, the Arabian travel market, to the Dubai Food Festival, one of my favourites. And here at DXB Today's show, we like to keep you in the know.
Absolutely. Not only that, today marks the 30th anniversary of World Press Freedom Day, a day that represents the importance of freedom of expression. And I'm curious, where do you guys get your news from, Tom?
I'm still a bit of a traditionalist, funnily enough.
Newspaper.
So newspapers, I do like a physical newspaper of a weekend, not on weekdays. So I check a lot of news sites on a regular basis. Use Twitter quite a lot for news stories, etc. So yeah, still a little bit of a traditionalist, but trying to keep up with the times, as they say.
Yeah, I would say the same, actually. Papers and magazines are still something. Do you remember when you get the paper and then you get the magazine that comes with it?
Yeah.
There's always really good information with that, like what's on the Time Out and that sort of thing. But also, I get a lot of information from you, Ash.
So, from me?
Yeah, I look at your social media.
Yeah.
And then I see what you're up to, and you're up to some cool stuff. So people that I like...
breakfast, gym, walking the dog. Those are important world news, I would say. I mean, today, of course, we're celebrating World Press Freedom Day, which was actually proclaimed about 30 years ago. But if you ask me, I feel like freedom of expression has lost its true meaning because we live in the times of the cancel culture, as we all know. And I feel like if your popular is not in line with if your views are not in line with the popular opinions, you could get cancelled. I'm probably cancelled as I'm saying this, who knows? But
No.
Wow.
Should I check my phone?
A couple of minutes in and she's off. Right. I'll tell you what, this could be a long 60 minutes.
We are talking about freedom of expression.
I know, you said it, girl. It's all about freedom. It's all about expression. And to help us explore the topic a little further is a man who is, no stranger to bringing new perspectives and stories to light here and further afield. He's a podcaster, he's a consultant, he's a storyteller. But above all else, he is today's co-host. Who is he?
Hey guys, this is Omar Tom, commonly known as OT. I'm the CEO at Tucan Media, and I'm excited to be with you on DXB Today.
Welcome to the show, OT. Good to have you on board. Looking forward to jumping in, discussing more about the world of media in just a few moments' time. But before we get riled up and into a big argument, today also happens to be Garden, get ready, Meditation Day. So our very own Amy has been exploring some more peaceful ways to start your day with some sound healing.
I'm here at Kiana Health Services, where I am going to be meeting with Lisa Oxford, who is a sound healer, and she's going to be introducing me to the world of sound healing, and I cannot wait. Now, sound healing is something that has been used in various religions and cultures for many years because of its great way of helping the body to heal naturally, both physically and mentally. So let's go check it out. So I am now joining Lisa, where we're going to have a sound healing therapy session. But I think first we're going to have a little chat and find out a little bit more about sound healing. So Lisa, tell me, what is sound healing and what are the benefits of it?
So you know the effect of sound on water, the bubbling up effect. So you watch the water bubbling up. This is what's happening to your body. Our body's made up of 70 to 75% water. So the same as water needs to be in flow, life needs to be in flow. So when we're having a sound therapy session, all the molecules in your body are bubbling up. Everything's setting in motion so it can unstick all the blockages, any emotions, any traumas that you're holding on. The issues are in the tissues at the end of the day.
Okay.
So we're releasing everything.
Amazing. So if I've got any stress, anything like that, any congestion in the body, sound healing is going to help me with that.
Yes, sounds amazing for anxiety, stress, depression, insomnia. Because when all these things are out of balance and out of harmony, this is when the stress kicks in. The stress is the start of everything.
Yeah, and it has an impact on our lives.
Exactly.
Well, I can't wait to try. So shall we start?
Yes. So as I'm playing the bowls, you can experience tingling sensations in your hands and your feet in particular, or anywhere in the body where you're holding on to stuck trauma and emotion. So it can feel like just coming up and then dispersing. I wouldn't say a pain as such, but just a sensation. It can be stronger for some people than others. It depends what's happened to you, whether you've injured yourself physically or whatever emotions you've been through, maybe a bit of grief, pain, upset, trauma.
So I've just finished my sound healing session and it was incredible. I'm feeling so relaxed, so zen. If you're feeling a little bit stressed and you feel like you need to reset, then definitely book in a session with Lisa.
Our Amy right there looking so nice, and I mean her skin is just glowing after that sound healing therapy. I think one of the universal advantages of sound healing is the deep relaxation part of that. Now we're going to relax a little bit later because we have our guest co-host with us, Omar. Thank you so much for joining us here on the show.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Now I want to know a little bit more about the Dukan podcast. Is that how it's pronounced, Dukan?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was launched in 2015 and you've interviewed so many people, right from royals to celebrities. Tell us a little bit about what the podcast is about.
Sure. So as the name states, Dukan literally means grocery store in English, in Arabic, Persian, Hindi, Urdu, and Turkish, which was as a result of the Ottoman Empire. But it was a great name to create for our show was because that was our safe space. That's where we came together as friends. We would have conversations on the stoop, and it was before or after basketball practice or any of our games. And it was a space that let us have interesting conversations and delve deep into anything that we were curious about. And we connected with each other. You know, it was a moment where we just have a 1 hour uninterrupted true conversation together as friends. So that inspired the show, and especially to combat negative stereotypes globally about Arabs, about the Middle East, about people like us, you know? And that's where the idea stemmed from. And we knew we were onto something when we got an open letter one day from a Mexican kid in Arizona that said that he didn't know Arabs like us existed, like be it a black Arab or an Arab that speaks English, because their media showed something completely different. And that reminded us that we're here to serve a purpose and do something and to bring us all together.
We're here to talk all about all things expression. I think we'll all agree that we're in a very quickly evolving media space at the moment. I mean, 2015, most people wouldn't even know what a podcast was in 2015. You were a podcast pioneer.
Yes.
In the 7.5, 8 years since you started out on the Dukan Project, I mean, have we got a better understanding of what podcasts are and how far they can reach?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think one of the main things when I first started was that I heard about podcasting while I was in the U.S. I was doing my postgrad and I was working there for a while. And a podcast that went national in the U.S. Was called Serial, which I'm sure a lot of us have heard of, and that took it mainstream. And I loved this idea of I could create something for myself. So when I came back here and I introduced the idea to a few friends, they had no clue what I was talking about. It sounded alien, it sounded so strange, and now today, we're getting requests to create podcasts for some businesses. We're grown to become a network of multiple shows. So we have had that expansion that really saved us in terms of we don't need to explain it anymore. You're talking about a time where I used to have people come to me like, hey, I love Dukan, I love what you're doing, but what is it? Whereas now, people know what it is before we even say anything about it.
But I suppose the big challenge now is managing expectations, because everyone thinks they can podcast at the moment, don't they?
Completely. You have more new shows that come in than those that have sustained the test of time.
Well, you've been a legend in the game for a long time, brother. I must say you're looking fantastic as well,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
But also tell me about tell everyone about your personal journey in terms of like your fitness and what sparked that as well.
Sure. So not many people know I'm post-kidney transplant. I've had 2 transplants, one in 2010 and one in 2016. I was diagnosed when I was young with something called a kidney reflux that sort of resulted into this trajectory. And the harder side of things was as a result of the medication, I ballooned weight-wise, just water weight, and it kind of just shifted my whole life. And it took me a while to get to where I am. In 2018, my business partner at Cal, we had this idea of like, you know what, we're going to get you fit. We're going to start running because my cholesterol levels were shooting up. My just all my medical charts were not healthy at all. And we had to correct that ASAP. So we started on a running journey, and that resulted in the Dukan Gets Fit movement. And now we do it every year during Ramadan, and the idea is just to introduce people to fitness and get people involved with us. As for my personal journey now, I do plyometrics, strength training, boxing, running. I train 6 to 7 times a week. So it's sort of a regimen that I've adopted.
It's good to see that you're nice and keeping healthy. About 80% of your Instagram content I see is about fitness, which is very inspiring, I would say. And I mean, keeping in line with the topic about freedom of expression, you were very candid about some of the experiences you've had, especially on Dukan podcast. You talk about touchy subjects such as racism, mental health, your experience as a black Arab boy growing up here in the UAE. Cut to 2021, you were one of the speakers at the Black Excellence Awards in the UAE, the first ever. Was that a full circle moment for you?
It definitely was. It was one of these moments where I feel like I've been heard. We finally have the spaces and the stages for us to express ourselves, because I came from a time where people that looked like me were not traditionally necessarily on mass media. First time I saw Lane on TV, that was exciting. That was years ago. So, you know,
he's a trailblazer
right there. Right? And then later on getting to meet Lane, and, you know, he was like, in a lot of ways, somewhat mentor to me, because him and I would sit together and speak about media for hours. So being able to be on sharing the stage with him and other black excellent people, for lack of a better expression, and having that space where we can come together and actually share our narrative with the world was such a huge moment. It definitely did come full circle.
How far can we go now when it comes to content? Because I know that's one of the big things that not just the UAE, the world at the moment is battling with present. And we live in such a multicultural society here, such a culturally diverse society as well. Yeah. Have the goalposts changed in the 7 years since you've been podcasting as well, with how far you can push it?
It definitely has changed, because part of the main side of our business actually is we're cultural consultants.
Yeah,
so we help businesses understand the people of the Middle East through research, data analytics, and in-depth qualitative analyses. So as part of our work, we look into these things, and the podcast, the way the media has been shifting is a really interesting one, because to some degree we self-censor in certain aspects, but now there's a constant concern of backlash online, especially on Twitter. People are just ready to go, and it's interesting because the challenges that we're facing is that with podcasting, I have enough time to express myself. Within an hour, I can express all my thoughts, emotions, concerns, things that excite me, whatever it may be about a specific topic. But you cannot do the same with a tweet. So people will find loopholes in your tweet and just choose to attack it. So it's an interesting space, and I think that's why I enjoyed podcasting, because it's a more intellectual space.
This is brilliant. It feels like we're on a podcast here, actually. This is really nice. I love this.
It at the moment.
I should.
Okay, it's time for a quick break now, but when we return, we will be finding out all about Gen Z and where they get their news from, and it might just surprise you.
Welcome back to the show. Now, word association. When I say the word news, how many of you are thinking of TikTok? Well, our next guest is the man behind a TikTok news account called UAE Moments. It's focused on delivering news to the all-important Gen Z. Here to tell us more about it is Shreya Khan. Shreya, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
OK, I'll be the old grumpy boots in the corner on this one, all right? I don't know which generation I am, but
baby
older than
boomer.
Gen Z. I'm a boomer, am I?
You're a baby boomer.
I'm a baby boomer. I'm going to fight the corner for baby boomers here. Gen Z don't care about news. Discuss.
I would say, of course, they do. In fact, Gen Z would be the driving force behind creating any movement around the world that's spread through news.
OK.
If you look at any kind of movement that takes place globally, it only happens because Gen Z are the ones that make sure that change happens. And the only way to make sure that change happens is by spreading news in a format that is consumable by Gen Z. So the traditional writing 5-minute long articles wouldn't really cut it for Gen Z. It's got to be...
But the Gen Zers in my house, when the baby boomers in front of the news, watching the news and getting them to sit in front of 24-hour feed news, they're not sitting alongside me.
Of course, that's why we do it on TikTok. We create 30-second news. And instead of dragging along the news for like 24 hours, we just do it in 30 seconds, like with a 3-second hook that keeps people engaged. So you got to have a hook, you know? Like in 24-hour long shows, you don't really have a big hook. But Gen Z, pretty much everyone has ADHD because they're always scrolling on their phones.
Yeah.
So how do you hook them in?
You've got to do anything that, you know, if the news is about, let's say, give me an example, any kind of example.
Today's topic, Press Freedom Day. We're about to announce that to the Gen Z via TikTok.
Okay, I can't think of something with that.
Okay,
but
Met Gala. Met Gala.
Okay, yes, exactly. Met Gala. So now Met Gala, there was a rumor that Jason Derulo tripped off the stairs.
Yeah.
That never happened. But I could have delivered the news in this way. Jason Derulo just tripped off the stairs. Or that's what everyone is thinking. But that's just a rumor. And then I can go on for the next 30 seconds highlighting on what exactly happened during Met Gala. But I hooked them in with Jason Derulo tripped off the stairs. That is something people would want to click and watch and stay for the rest of the video.
Is that clickbait?
Yes.
Yes.
I think we have a good mix of all the generational labels on this table: baby boomers, millennials. Are you a Gen Z? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a Gen Z.
Would you say that millennials and baby boomers like to consume their news slightly differently compared to Gen Z?
I would say baby boomers want to go for TV news.
Thank you.
Millennials would want to go for news articles, and Gen Z would want to go for TikTok.
Okay.
Okay, so in the terms of like journalism, we were talking about journalism and do you think this a little bit risky for Gen Z? Because what they're doing now is like they've got their phones and they're going to places and there might be some action happening and they're recording it on their phones. Do you think they're a little bit too reckless, would you say?
Maybe. That is a perspective you can look at it from. But you can also look at it from an angle that they want to make sure this reaches the world. If they did not record it, then nobody would know about this.
I got it.
You know?
Yeah.
True.
So question though, how do they maintain journalistic integrity versus virality in that universe?
That is a bit of a tricky situation. So for us at UA Moments, we actually have a chief editor who is a millennial who comes from a very strong background of working in media and being a journalist. So he kind of has that support. We have that support of him. So when we are focused on driving news towards virality, he pulls us back and he's like, you know what? We got to maintain our journalistic integrity. We can't report it that way. We got to switch it up, you know?
What's also key, sorry Ash, just to pick up on something there, is the whole demand for news now as well. And obviously we're seeing ChatGPT come through, we're seeing AI come through as well. The Pope didn't wear a puffer jacket, you know. Donald Trump didn't get arrested by the FBI. Yeah. So how do you check your sources and make sure that you're not dealing in fake news?
In that case, when it comes to AI, I think AI still hasn't got to the point yet where it's 100% evident that you can't tell whether it's real or fake. It's still a bit AI-ish, like it looks like digital paintings, right? And when it comes to checking your sources, I guess you just have to do thorough research, like anyone else does it. So even when it comes to reporting news on TikTok or Instagram, anywhere, the same way everyone else does their thorough research, we've got to do the same thing.
When I was watching the UA Moments videos on TikTok, I noticed that your job predominantly is to report the news. But do you also sometimes give your opinion on it? And especially since we're talking about freedom of expression today, are you scared to give your opinion, especially because it is such a public platform?
Yes, that is a very good question. Sometimes it's a bit tricky and sticky to give your personal opinion because that could result in a lot of backlash, and as it is with any media company. But generally, when it's sensitive topics, we prefer not to go that direction. We prefer leaving it to the public, like, what is your opinion on it? And we end every video in the same manner. What do you think of it? What is your opinion? We don't prefer giving our own opinions. Why do we do that? Is because that is what drives engagement. Getting people to comment under your video is what's going to drive engagement and get millions of other people to see it. That's how the algorithms work, right?
So question though, that's a great point about the algorithm, because for people like me, I prefer to read, right? So that means, and in a 30-second span of content, if you will, it feels like it's just the headlines, as opposed to digging deeper into a certain story. So where do you balance that out, like to avoid having misunderstandings or misinterpretations of the message that you're trying to convey with your news?
over here again, we have to make sure that when we're delivering news, it's not, it's not half. Like it's a full product. Everything that we want to convey is being conveyed, but in a way that is very easily consumable. So all the details need to be showcased and put out there without wasting anyone's time. So it's got to be like, if it's a 5-minute long article, we got to convert that into a 30-second, 40-second video. And alongside just conveying the message, we also got to play like weird animations all across, because everyone has ADHD. No one's going to pay attention. You've got to like keep them distracted everywhere. So if I'm speaking right now about TikTok, I've got to have like TikTok logos playing on top.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they play those. I never understood why they have those, but now I do. Shahryar, unfortunately, we've run short of time on this occasion. Thank you so much for coming on this show, and keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. I feel like we all went at him a bit there. You know what I mean? The young gun, let's get him.
You don't have to leave stage. Fine.
Right, now you've heard the saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words, especially when that picture is taken by renowned photojournalist Steve McCurry. We caught up with him on his recent visit to the UAE, so let's take a look.
Today we are in Sharjah, where we are discovering the work of a world-renowned photographer from America called Steve McCurry. Right now we are in his private gallery, and we'll be digging deeper into one of his most iconic photographs, which I know you're going to recognize. Here it is, the iconic photograph taken by Steve McCurry back in 1984 of a young 12-year-old Sharbat Gula back in Pakistan. This photo I know you recognize because it went viral. It was on the cover of the National Geographic from 1985 and has since been termed the first world's third world Mona Lisa. It has had such a strong impact and story behind this photo. We're also going to discover a bit more of Steve McCurry's work.
I've been asked about that picture and emailed, and people have inquired about that picture. Who was she? What happened to her? Tell us the story about her. So in a way, it's become part of my life beyond just being an image that I made. It's something which I'm with like all the time. Well, I think photography has shaped my view of the world because I traveled so much and I've seen different cultures, different ways of life. I've seen how people, the human behavior. I think it's to have that overview of the world and how we have different languages, different cultures, but we have this shared humanity. So for me, we're all one. We're all the same big family. The best advice I can give to a young photographer is be prepared to work and understand that without, discipline, hard work, practice, this is everything. This is, to actually accomplish anything in life, it just takes a lot of dedication and hard work.
Over a career spanning over 40 years, you can see why Steve McCurry is one of the most iconic photographers of our time. And better yet, to be here in Sharjah showcasing his work for the world to see just proves how much the UAE is for the arts and the culture.
Hello, I'm Steve McCurry. You can see me on DXB today on Dubai One.
Pitch perfect there with Nimi. Interesting stuff. Now, time for us to discuss another lineup of trending topics. Who is the man in charge of our daily roundup? It is...
Yes, indeed. So, believe it or not, in the UAE, Tom, there is 9.6 million internet users. Did you know that?
No.
And we're talking about our media consumption habits today. So here's just some of the UAE trends and statistics that stood out for me. The average daily time spent on social media in the UAE is 2 hours and 33 minutes. Do you know that? Do you realise that? That is a long time.
OK.
Let's discuss this.
I'll go first. I think that is south of the mark. If I was to guess, I would suggest it was more, judging by the people that I work with, live with, and socialise with.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
You know, for me personally, when your phone sends you that little report saying this has been your average screen time this last 1 week, number one, who asked you? Number two, I think to myself, stop screen time shaming me, okay? Because I'm always after my daughter saying, don't spend so much time on the iPad. But sometimes I just let her use the iPad so that I can have some screen time. You know what I mean? It's a vicious circle.
We all need a bit of screen time.
Yeah, we do.
We do. I'm learning to disengage and disconnect from it little by little, and I think I've screen time shamed myself for way too long. So I think I've been doing it for myself, where I was like, okay, I need to spend a lot less time on these.
Ash makes a valid point, though, as well, which is the fact that, you know, let's blame this on the smartphone, shall we? Let's blame this because everything's there.
Yeah.
You know, what we're saying here is social media. Now, if you're looking at your phone, it doesn't necessarily have to be on social media. It might be on traditional media or other reasons that you're using your phone, etc. The dedication to social... But equally, at the same time, social media is being used for so many different purposes here, not just personal purposes, as a great source of headlines, news and otherwise. So,
OK, Tom, now here is the top 5 reasons why UAE residents are actually on their mobile phones. Now, 46.8% are staying in touch with friends and family. 33.8% are filling their spare time. 32.3% are reading news stories. Okay. 30.4% are finding inspiration of things to do and buy. And lastly, 29.2% are watching or following sports stories. Guys, so any surprises there, would you say?
Personally, I think there's certain understatements in some of these statistics. Because, like, for me, I think that the news for millennials, I think, is a more active one. And maybe that would have been counted as social media, maybe, because that's Twitter. But that's, I would have definitely assumed that's a higher stat. The other thing is communication, especially where how we live today, like online meetings is a big piece, even on the phone. Like before the session, I was sitting out of my car catching up on a Zoom meeting, right, before coming in here. So I think there are some of these stats definitely, if we want to update them today, I think there's some new numbers that might be a bit higher in certain aspects and less in others. Sports, not so much. I'm still a traditionalist with sport. I need to watch the game live on TV with everybody else. Yeah.
Does that strike a chord with you, Tom?
That strikes a chord with me. The only thing I would add to those numbers, and who am I, Leno, to disagree with your statistics over there as our statistic shepherd this afternoon. The only thing I would say, I think we use a lot of our phones as an excuse a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And for that, I always use the example of an elevator.
Yes.
How many people get into an elevator and to avoid eye contact or any communication when they want to say, you pull out your phone, and you pretend a phone call's come in, and then the phone rings and it's really embarrassing. But you use it as a means to... It's a blanket, it's a security blanket in many ways.
Completely.
Absolutely. I feel like we use our phone for so many different things. You can get so much done besides, of course, social media. There's a lot of pressure on social media, especially if you have, say, a public account. You need to constantly post things. That in itself takes about 30 minutes of your time because you're editing, you're thinking about what you're going to post, you're Googling inspirational captions. Is that just me? I don't know. Besides that, you're also keeping in touch with things. You know, you're coordinating different things. I'm on Pinterest looking at what kind of marble top will look good in my kitchen. Gosh, I feel old when I said that. This and that, stalking your ex. You know, there's so many different things you can do on... Just kidding, I'm blocked. So many different things you can do on social media. It's a little bit addictive. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a bit. It is time for a quick break. We will be back with more after this.
Welcome back to DXB. Today, now, we've been exploring the new media world, the rise of social media and the impact it's had on our news consumption. But let's not forget, for many, the traditional newspapers still hold the highest level of credibility out there. Joining us in the studio and nodding away is journalist at the Khaleej Times, Soumya Mehta. Soumya, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, and what a discussion we are having, and a very, very prescient discussion that's going on in the world of media at the moment. Tell us, from a Khaleej Times point of view, a house point of view, if you like, how much of a threat do you see social media in terms of media consumption? Is it a threat to what we deem traditional media, like the newspapers?
It's not a threat. We're on social media. So, I mean, we have social media handles as much as other digital media platforms or content creators would have, and we use it in ways that are similar, if not exactly the same. You know, when creating content, especially for social, being on trend, figuring out like sort of, you know, the heart of the matter when it comes to the youth, the Gen Z, figuring out topics that they care about, and also having a voice heard in that space. So that's not a threat at all. It's kind of like it works in synergy with what we do off social media.
So question for you, because you were talking about, you know, Gen Z, and earlier you thought about keeping up with the trends for a traditional media like Khaleej Times. Have you guys jumped on the Wes Anderson trend?
No, not yet. Oh. But
yeah, you're missing on that one.
Yeah, I mean, no. To be fair, like, we also have to kind of maintain the integrity. So if there is a reason why we need to jump on that trend, I'm sure we'll do it. Maybe like today, you never know. But it depends on the right time and the right opportunity for utilizing the trends to also kind of deliver what we're there to do, which is news.
Yeah. Sure. Khaleej Times actually reminds me of my childhood because, you know, as a Dubai kid who grew up over here, in the mornings outside most apartments, you would either see Gulf News or Khaleej Times newspaper over there. I still remember my dad bringing in the newspaper in the morning. Those days are gone. With the uptake of, I guess, the digital side of things, how different has your sort of, I guess, journalistic reporting been when it's on a newspaper versus when it is digital?
Very, because, I mean, like, there's a whole generation out there now that sort of didn't live in a world where there weren't any smartphones. So, I mean, they're kind of, like, very divorced to the idea of, like, print. So if we don't evolve and rapidly sort of, like, you know, kind of follow that and be relevant in that scenario, then it gets very difficult for us to kind of get our news out there, our stories out there. So I feel like we've met the audiences where they are, which is like digital and mobile first. So our storytelling approach has, you know, changed a lot. So if you see our digital articles, like, you know, earlier they were talking about TikTok trends and kind of like the 3-second rule of being very, very like varied in the kind of like information that you put out on the screen. Our linear storytelling on a website also reflects that. So like it's no longer just like text online, right? It's like videos, animation, pictures, and all of that like rapidly kind of like interspersed with each other online.
Cool.
So, I mean, yeah.
So when it comes to the whole digital space, I'm all about my percentages. So how much percentage would you say traditional media and what you have at Khaleej Times? Like, obviously, because you've got the section for the traditional people doing their thing, and then you've now got the digital section, right? How much percentage is on each? And have you seen a massive decline?
Percentages in of the usage, as in
the consumption
audiences?
and obviously in-house as well. How's that working in terms of you've got more people working on digital now rather than the traditional side of things?
So obviously, like as I said, you know, we are digital first, mobile first. That's sort of at the heart of like everything that we do. But that's not to sort of take away from the legacy of print. That's also what we're known for at Khaleej Times. As she said, you know, she grew up like looking at newspapers. And but if you even see just the print, we celebrated like our 45th anniversary recently at Khaleej Times, and they did a comparison of like how the page 1 of the newspaper looked back in the day versus now. It's drastically different, right? It's more visual, it's snapshot, kind of like in with the essence of social media.
Yeah.
It's definitely evolved even print-wise. So like our print is no longer like traditional print, right? We're trying to like be more innovative, stay on trend. So if there's like a huge topic on social media, we want to translate that as a big headline in the newspaper as well. So.
Long may that continue, Soumya, right? Time on this occasion. But thank you so much indeed for coming in. And don't worry about his percentages. We don't believe them either
really
as well.
important.
We put those to bed already today. Don't worry about those percentages.
Data is really important. He would agree with me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Soumya.
Thank you.
Right, Omar. So we are going to put your skills to the test. It is called DXB in 60, where we'll ask you a few questions and you have to answer as many as you can within 60 seconds. And towards the end of it, we'll show you the leaderboard. All right, so no pressure. Are we ready?
Come on.
We got
so
this.
The clock is about to start. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Today is World Press Freedom Day or World TV Day?
World Press Freedom Day.
Correct. Which entity established World Press Freedom Day? UNESCO, Red Crescent?
UNESCO.
Correct. Today marks which anniversary for Press Freedom Day, the 30th or the 10th?
30th.
Correct. Which presenter experienced sound healing on today's show, Katie or Amy?
Amy.
Correct. Which social media platform are Gen Z getting their news from, Snapchat or TikTok?
TikTok.
Correct. Our guest, Shahryar Khan, represented which TikTok news account, UAE Moments or UAE Memories?
Moments.
Correct. The average daily time spent on social media in the UAE is 2 hours 33 minutes or 1 hour 33 minutes?
2 hours 33 minutes.
Correct. The top reason UAE residents are on their phones is to watch sports, to stay in touch with friends and... And you are at the top of our leaderboard. 11 correct answers. Well done, Omar.
I got
Very
you.
nice. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Omar, for being here, and to you, Soumya.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. Such a pleasure and an honour. It's been wonderful. Now it's time for a quick break, and when we get back, we've got tonight's musical guest, so stick around.
Welcome back. You are watching DXB today. Our performer today is Jin Flora, and we're going to get to know her a little bit more. Jin, thank you so much for being here on the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Is this your first TV appearance?
Well, no, I was on The Voice a few years ago before I started my career.
that little show called The Voice. Yeah. Okay, tell us more about your experience on The Voice.
It was amazing. I had auditions for about 6 months, and I got to the blind auditions.
Yeah.
I sang Tom Jones and Jessie J. It was really nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But that's where my journey ended. But sort of started because I moved to Dubai.
Okay.
To start singing live.
Yeah. And who was your favourite judge at The Voice, would you say?
I love Jessie J.
Okay,
yeah,
Jessie J. I love her. I love her music. I love her personality.
Yes.
She's so cool. Now, speaking of Jessie J, I want to know a little bit more about your personality and a little bit more about your musical background. I understand that you not only sing, but you also write your own music. Okay.
I do. I had about a 10-year period where I wrote a lot of songs. I came out here to Dubai and started my live singing career and didn't have time to pursue singing and songwriting together.
Yeah.
But over the pandemic, I released my debut single, and I've just put out another song, which is a tribute to my grandma.
Okay.
So I'm starting a little journey with my own songs, and it's really special.
Okay. And what kind of music do you make?
I love R&B. I love soul. I love a bit of funk.
Yeah.
But I can appreciate all music, if I'm honest with you.
I love a little bit of R&B. Hip-hop and R&B is my jam, I would say. Okay, so where can we find you on social media just to make sure that we can keep track of all the cool things you're going to be doing?
I'm probably most active on Instagram.
Yeah.
So my handle is Jin Flora Singer.
Okay, Jin Flora Singer, that is for you. Right, now I know that you've been on The Voice. I can surely tell you that myself, Tom and Lane, we are tougher critics. So, you know, that's a short order for you. So, Jin, I'm going to let you to get ready, and it's over to you, Tom.
Thank you very much indeed, Ash. Yeah, looking forward to that one. Now, don't forget that you lot out there have 2 days left. That's just 2 days left to enter our most popular competition yet. Go to the Dubai One TV Insta page now to be in with a chance of winning, yeah, you know it, 2 golden seat tickets to go and see the Backstreet Boys. The concert is, of course, this coming weekend. Find the competition post on our page and let us know why we should pick you. And, of course, good luck. What's happening tomorrow?
Music. Big Hass is in the house, which is going to be absolutely fantastic.
We might need a bigger house then, mate.
He is a big personality, and he is the one who has brought the music scene to the Saudi Arabian Peninsula. Smashed it. Great guy.
And, of course, we have Backstreet Boys who are going to be performing Backstreet.
What, on the stage?
Back. All right. Yeah. You know, I used to be such a big fan of Nick Carter, so they're performing here in the UAE. We're also giving away tickets to that. Make sure you follow us on social media at Dubai One TV, because we're running several competitions where you can win tickets to BSB, baby.
So, just to be sure that they're coming into the studio.
If they're coming into studio, I'm sleeping here tonight and I'm not leaving. No, they're not coming to studio.
They're not coming to the studio, all right? We've tried. We've tried, but do not come down to the studio.
Imagine we've got loads of people outside.
Okay? You can wait for Lane, that's fine.
That's it.
Not the Backstreet Boys.
Well, that's it for today's show. And of course, if you're out and about, and you can always use the hashtag DXB Today and let us know what you want us to see and discuss on the show.
And if you're interested in the music scene in the UAE, you will not want to miss tomorrow's episode. For now, it is a good night from us, and it's over to you, Jin. Take it away.
You give me that good